is going live. Oh, there we go. I think we're live. We're official.
Yeah, cold start.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Own Your Agents. You got Dougie here and you got Joseph. How have you been, bud?
Great, great. How are you doing?
Good. I'm excited to be back after a vacation. We're going to be here. We're talking about owning your agents, why that's important. But I will say that also owning your time off of the agents is super
Mm.
important. I spent a few days at the river. I hardly opened my laptop. And besides telling my agents to go fix a couple of things that broke with one of my consulting clients, which they went off and did my bidding, and I jumped back in the lake. So it was fantastic. And yeah, I'm happy to jump back in. There's been a lot of cool news. So as usual, we'll be talking about what's been going on in the
You
world
don't
of
you don't
agents.
get you don't get anxious not telling your agents what to do for a week, and then you're not maxing, you're not token maxing, and then
It's a really good point.
behind.
I definitely did not take advantage of my token allowance this last week. I didn't even have tons lined up to just set them on, autonomously. I just was like, I need to just completely stop thinking about AI mostly for a few days.
Yeah,
Because I was
that's good.
feeling
It makes
like,
you more creative. You need the break
yeah,
time to really come
yeah,
up
and I
with
was
the
like
big.
dreaming. I was dreaming in automations and I was like waking up and I was sometimes talking to my family and I was like the words were coming out and going in, but like in my mind, I just could tell I was like on AI multi-threaded mode.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
so
Yeah,
yeah, to have a
that's
little bit
me.
of
Yeah,
break. Yeah, it's good to just
and it worked. You were
it worked,
on the
yeah. And I'm
water.
so
Good.
psyched because I made like a lot of really cool progress last month, and I'm kind of coming into this new month. I just finished up like a year-long consulting project, and I built something that blew my consulting client away. And it's like the platform for me to build new tools for them at the drop of a hat and replicate that for possibly other consulting clients. Or, I'm coming out to San Francisco. I'd love to show it to you and to
Mhm.
others. There's going to be something either about what I built, or at least I just know I want to be in the world of AI agents for business and things like that. It's so exciting to me. And so I built something that's cool. It might just lead to something where I can replicate it for other clients or some sort of intro into doing that with. I want to work with people that are like doing some next level stuff. I've been largely the person in my world, and I'm super grateful for it. But like, I'm really at the forefront of my company, and I'd love to be around people that are like pushing my abilities too. And so that's kind of my goal for this next chunk of time. But it's been cool. Like what I'm saying is, I finished up that project before my vacation, and so now I'm coming back to like, cool. How can I use the thing that I built? You know what I mean? And so I can talk a little bit more about what that is. But yeah, I want to hear from you, man. We took a little week off. How have you been? What have you been up to?
Uh, Been good. Yeah, Trusted Router's really been growing. We got some great investors that joined, actually, the first investors in the last two
Wow.
weeks. Yeah. Yeah, the open router stuff acquisition has really shifted a lot of people's thinking about routers. They can see that
Yeah,
it's a very important part of the stack. So
big time.
I am
Increasingly so.
increasingly, yeah. So yeah, building that out and then thinking about go to market and how
Yeah.
to
Is
expand that.
it pretty much your full-time focus right now, besides your fun hobby stuff, of course?
Yeah, yeah, it's my full-time thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm pretty much focused
totally.
on that more now because that seems to be what people are more interested in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember like it's really interesting. Yeah, we talked probably like I think it was like 6 months ago we started talking. I remember that road trip I was driving back from Miami after like a team drop in, and we just talked for like
Yeah.
I think almost 2 hours, and it was like about the importance of private, your data privacy, the importance of um, yeah, of like whose pocket to be in. And I think that's an interesting topic for today, especially in light of like these big names like Gemini and ChatGPT, of course, Anthropic, like releasing things that are just so wanting you to be in their world. Um, and so
Yeah.
more importantly than ever is like, do we go with the easy option? Do we go with like wanting to own your own agents? It's a really fascinating time, but I think a huge piece of that owning your agents is understanding what a router is and why it's important. So I
hmm
think you're in the right exact place.
Yeah, I think everyone, I mean, some people are talking about it. I don't think it's become overall as a discussion topic. Alex Karp is going around. They just posted like 90% increase in revenue because he's really talking about the importance of owning your data, owning your agents, and
Yeah.
not giving away all your alpha to Anthropic. And that's the same kind of messaging that we have.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's what's like really exciting. So yeah. So who are you looking? How are you going to be growing Trusted Router next? What's your plan for the next month or two? The next, I guess, the rest of the year.
So someone was saying that I should have a sales operations person that can reach out and prioritize contacts to reach out to, set up my calendar, and then I just go in and sell it and close the lead, close the sale.
Mm-hmm.
I and then someone else said I should make that person an agent instead of hiring someone. So I don't know what you think about that. But I haven't tried it. I don't know. They're saying Hermes could do
Yeah.
it or something, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, here's the deal, and I talked to like a lot of clients about this. New companies starting right now are in this wonderful opportunity where they can be AI first, like, AI native. What's even AI first is if an old company, I'm just trying to remember the terminology. The difference between like AI native and AI first is an
I
old
don't know.
company who's trying to go into like transform their platforms and their employees' workflows. I think it's AI first. If you're AI native, you are like born in the era. Your
Hmm.
company's born in the era of AI. There's not even any retrofitting necessary if you just really are AI native. And by what I mean by that is it's so tempting to, especially if we've done businesses before. I've helped like launch a lot of businesses, mostly for others, a few of my own. But there was these old tools, old techniques, and that you kind of went your default. Here's your go high level, or here's the way you set up your CRM or whatever it is. Here are the tools that are standard. Here are the ones I know. But that's great. But now we've got this new era where everything is new, right? All of these tools are up for, especially if you're a new company, you have the opportunity to start fresh with AI first tools and make your company really run AI native. And so to answer your question, like, is an agent appropriate for sales or marketing, right? I mean, this is a really cool topic. First of all, picking the right CRMs and picking the right, you don't have to go with go high level. It's a pain in the butt to use, horrible API. Do not go the path of least resistance to your old things. If you're starting a new company, do the research to think of like, okay, who are like the cutting edge, latest AI first CRMs or these tools? Or do I even need to use
Who
some of these
some Yeah,
subscriptions?
someone pointed at this other new one, Okara.ai.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of it?
Interesting. The new CRM.
Apparently, yeah, apparently a lot of people are talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
So yeah, so let's take a
it's
look
like
at it.
no, it's not a CRM. It's like what you're saying, like an agent CMO
Mm-hmm.
that you can pay $100 to, and it does so many things for you.
Yeah, the AI CMO. Okay, the only CMO you're going to need for growth and marketing. So, I mean, this brings up this interesting question, right? Like owning your agents, we're looking now at looks like a try for free. And so before you know it, you're going to have a new subscription, right? And that may well be awesome because it is built out specifically for the task. But are you owning your agent if you're paying for Okara? And I haven't even looked at them. It's the first time I heard about them. Versus like, what does it take to actually create your own C-suite on your own Linux box with their own specific tasks, right? And suddenly you are actually owning your agent and owning your C-suite. You're not having to go out to be like, oh, with Okara, I use this CMO. Then I go to, another one for my, CFO, or I use, and then I have to use maybe Salesforce or HubSpot from another thing. And before you know it, you're spending thousands of dollars a month on subscriptions. Do you need to? And that's why these SaaS tools are concerned, because possibly a smart person will be like, well, first of all, I don't need all of the bulk of what you're doing. I think it's just like, I don't need to pay you $1,000 a month. I only need these little portions. That's an important question, right? Like, how much do we want to actually spend a weekend building a specific, tool set custom for us, and we own it? and it's run off of our own local or VPS box versus the ease of subscriptions. And so, I mean, I think a lot of times, perhaps the model is that we know what we can build and we know what actually this person's built for a reasonable price subscription that we can use to get us off our feet and use it in such a way that maybe we can in time say like, hey, you know what? I don't need to pay them $1,000 a month. I can do this with my own, I can replicate this tool. As you know, like, you inspired me to actually look at some tools that I was going to pay a lot for and be like, damn, I don't even need all this. I need the skeleton version of this. I can build this in a weekend. And now
It
I'm
has
doing,
more features than you need. So the
yeah,
little
exactly.
features that you want, you built. Did it work? Did you build it?
I built it and it's incredible. Like, so now basically this platform that I
Really?
built,
And
yeah,
then
yeah,
and
this
then when you want
platform.
to change it, or like boom, you change
Mhm.
it, and then there's no stress about it. Yeah.
It's my own thing now. Basically, it's a platform that my consulting client can log in with Slack, and I can have custom tools for them in there. And the tools have basically I can chat into existence based off of an outcome. My client can be like, "Hey, I want this report done every day, or I want to make it easy for my team to run these interviews with clients, and this is the outcome it looks like." And then I can go back into the platform and basically chat into existence a tool, and it will go and it will build the interfaces, it will go and build the automations, and it will be integrated into the tool. And then all they see is a pretty little interface, and they have their tool, right? And as part of that, and the piece that I was thinking about being a subscription tool and ended up just rebuilding is an agent builder. And the agent has its instructions, it has its knowledge packs, and it has its skills that are attached to it. And those agents can be used across the platform on multiple types of automations or tools. And then you just change the knowledge in one place, and all of the tools that use it are updated. So that's kind of what was built. I can even show you. It's at a cool spot. I'm pretty ready to show a little demo. But all that to say, bringing it back to your question, do you use Okara? Like, I think it's useful to look at. Like, the dream of all this is, can I put $100 into a box and get $1,000 of value back, whether it's marketing or whatever? I mean, and that's the thing, and that's why it's worth testing. I think there's a lot of these AI marketing tools out there that are worth some little $100 experiments or whatever, being like,
Mhm.
do I get, if I pour in $500, do I get enough lead calls, cold like calls, or leads out of it? And what's my closing rate on those leads? And you can pretty quickly calculate whether these are good business decisions. If you pay $500 to something like Okara, and you get 10 calls out of it, and you land one call that's a $500 a month thing, you nailed it, right? Let alone if you got multiple and they're $1,000 clients, right? I think for a lot of these things, it's a little easier when you've got a higher price ticket. It's a little easier to quickly justify that, like, a lead cost you, $100 to get. It's harder on lower price tickets. Like, if you have a $10 a month subscription, that would require someone to stay subscribed for almost a year, to justify paying $100 to get them. You know, at least you would want it more than that. So I think it's sometimes easier with larger ticket clients. You just need a few. You just need to close one. It justifies your entire month spend on that marketing effort. But there's a lot of fun things to try, and so it sounds like this would be a great topic for this month. This is something that, with my extra time now, I'm really started to get excited about exploring, is the automated marketing stuff. So I think we
Mhm.
should share tools and maybe put some money into some little tests. Have you got any like side projects too, like that are just small subscription tools that you've built
Um,
that just solve little
Small
problems?
subscription. No, I mean Trusted Router is it. I mean, I made a games app called Lore Games, and it lets you make games in seconds with it, but I haven't tried to promote it. I think it's a bit of a
Okay.
noisy space. So yeah.
I've got this one tool that I built as a side project that I put a paywall on. I mean, literally the subscription starts at $4 a month and it goes up to 15 if you have like the AI powered version. And it's not the focus of my work right now. I'm focusing on this other stuff, but I'm like, I might as well. Got something with a pay, and this is what I think a lot of people are in the position of right now. They've vibe coded something cool into existence. They maybe even have a little paywall on it, or they just want to get users, but they also have their day job. I think a lot of people who've done these things, and so they suddenly built something. They're like, cool, I got this $5 or $10 a month app I built. Well, I don't have any users, and I got to go back to my actual day job. And so they're the exact people in the place that are like ready to test these sorts of things. Like, hey, is there something I can just put $50 a month into and see if I can get more than $50 a month back in subscriptions? Like, and so that's, I think, a really fun, for me, I have a little side test thing. For you, you want to really start to, get signups for Trusted Router. So this is a great topic. And I think a lot of people are interested in this topic right now because a lot of people, like I say, have ideas for these little money makers.
So where are those people?
Where are those people? I mean, I just know, being part of some AI groups now, I keep seeing people be like, hey, I built this little tool for real estate agents, or I built this little thing. And so it's like maybe they're searching, like right now is like how to get, how to get subscribers for my vibe coded app. Like, maybe there's a way to target and find those people who have this exact problem. Because my gut instinct is there are lots of people right now who are in this position. They built something expecting people to come, and now it's a cool little tool for real estate agents or for like, their sales team. Anyone would just pay $5 a month for this, but no one is because no one knows about it. And I think that then there's those people who are nailing it. If you look at like Stripe's recent report, is the amount of millionaires being minted by their recurring subscriptions has just like, since Claude Code, has just like hockey pucked. Like
Really?
there's people who are
Because Stripes
nailing it.
cracks their business at small businesses, and they're watching. Oh,
Exactly.
this guy became a millionaire from their business. Interesting.
Exactly.
Well, at least in revenue, not necessarily the costs are pretty high.
Subscription revenue for, whatever their little app is or whatnot.
Amazing.
So it's happening. People are doing it. Those people are ahead of the curve, and I think that we should get ahead of the curve. So I'm definitely interested in this month focusing on that. It's going to be a big month. After this week is I'm officially off the full-time thing, and I'm going to be really focused on this, which is going to be exciting. So I think sharing tips and tricks will be great. I'd love to support Trusted Router with this, is what I find too. So anyways, I think that brings us up to, should we get into a few news items? I got a few things that we can talk about. Okay.
Kimmy K3 came out while you were on it. Yeah.
So let's talk about Kimmy K3 for a second. Kimmy K3 had come out, and then they had a couple of weeks where they're like, in a couple of weeks, we're going to release it open, downloadable. And everyone was like, okay, is something going to happen before it gets released that's going to block it? But it didn't. And people downloaded it, and something almost as powerful as Fable or Mythos or whatever. I don't know. What I heard is there's levels where it's as powerful or more powerful, and a bunch that aren't. So perhaps you can speak to that. But it's in the wild.
I heard the same. Yeah.
What have you heard?
It didn't get blocked by the Trump administration. So, and yeah, it's better at front end and law somehow, and weaker in other parts. And it's an amazing model. It's very expensive for an open source model. It's the most expensive. It's the biggest and most expensive open source model. $15 per million tokens.
You mean to use if you're using API tokens, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you try to run it locally, it's 2.6 trillion parameters, so it's expensive to run locally as well. Yeah.
Okay, so you would need like a few GPUs or something.
Yeah, maybe 16. I don't know.
Oh, so you're talking like if you had a local box and you didn't want to pay for tokens, you might have to invest how much? Ballpark.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know, 6 figures, 5-6 figures.
Wow. Okay. So we're talking about big enterprises that would be able to invest that much because long term it would save that much in the per token cost.
I don't think it would save you to invest in it because you can use it from our APIs on Trusted Router for $15 per million tokens. Like depends on how many you're using.
You're doing a lot of processing.
It'd be pretty unlikely because you have to have a lot, but also a steady amount. And it's probably you don't using a steady amount, right? Continuously through the day.
That's
in fact,
true.
it's pretty unlikely, right? that you know
Huh.
exact specific amount. It's probably more like use a lot during the workday, and then you have like a burst of bad jobs overnight, nothing on the weekend. It's just like, and it's just
Yeah.
very, and then if you, you know, when you're too much, then you need to burst to the trusted router anyway. And when you're too
Mm.
little, you're just wasting your capex, right?
Hmm.
And then so if you underbuy so that you don't waste your capex, then you know you just end up to burst to the cloud anyway most of the time.
Yeah.
But then if you overbuy, then you just are wasting it because you're only using 1%.
Mm.
So I'd say it's pretty
Well,
impossible to get the amount of AI you use is like this. It's just like this. It's like very spiky for and the way an individual or even a company uses it.
so who's downloading it? If you need that much to process it, are who's using it locally?
Uh,
Big organization.
Kimi is quite large. Most people are using like a 27 billion parameter model, like Quen 3.5, 3.7, um, 3.6. I think some people are running. I saw 1-bit Kimi K3 quantization, 1-bit. So normally it's like 8-bit, right? Or brain float 16. This is a 1-bit
Mm.
quantization, and it's at 76% of the performance, and that actually
Hmm.
runs on a laptop. So I bet some people
Hmm.
are doing that.
Well, that's interesting. So, I mean, I think that like it comes down to, there's a few things. Obviously, running it locally is awesome if you can do it. It's going to save you on tokens, but there are other models that are going to be less expensive in terms of like what you need to run it. In the meantime, you can use it with something like Trusted Router and have access to this. However, in that case, even though the sort of link to Trusted Router is going to be encrypted, there's certain models where you, as Trusted Router, can't ensure that the piece that goes from you to that provider, like Kimi, isn't going to be, that data isn't necessarily private. They might be looking at it. And so there's certain models, certain providers that say we don't monitor it or it's encrypted, whereas there's others where it's kind of a black box and you don't know what they're doing. Is that right? And that's part of the concern with some of these models.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Or the provider might be logging and doing things or refusing.
Mhm. Yeah. All right, I got a couple of other things. I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. So as you know, um, I got my Team Central app. One of the things I love about it is it, has a bunch of different tools that I actually created this for my team, but I actually use this. One of my main things I love about this is I have my news subscriptions that I subscribe to, and then I have a really nice app that, you can see it by like, Kanban or by this. It's nice on the phone too. I just read this before going to bed. But what I like to do on this call is I just search right here. I have a little simple search right in my browser just for agents. And then, these are things that we can talk about. But a few things that I do think happened since 2 weeks ago that I thought it'd be interesting to talk to you about is like the couple of sandbox escapes. And so for people that don't know what that is, it's like there was these containers that were in that OpenAI or even Anthropic had created to run some tests and set some challenges for their advanced models. And those models were able to, because these models are just looking for efficient ways to find a solution. And so they found ways to get what they needed by breaking out of their container. And so you got that news, and it freaked people out. Nothing terrible happened, but effectively it was able to find, like, from what I know, some little API keys in the data in its sandbox, and it was able to go out and find what it needed elsewhere. In particular, the thing that exploded with all this news was Hugging Face. It went out and was able to get into Hugging Face somehow and get some stuff. And everyone got super freaked out. I wanted to hear what your thoughts are on what happened and maybe even shed some light on the concern or why it isn't as much of a concern, depending on how you think about it.
That's a good one. So I think that it's a real hack. I think it's like I've run these models myself on cybersecurity, and it hacked my monitor. Now I'm realizing maybe it did start hacking other things. I don't know.
Wow,
I think,
really?
yeah, I'm realizing that it's kind of hard to lock these down by definition because they escape these sandboxes.
Mhm.
And obviously even OpenAI can't keep them under control. And so, they could have had maybe more security, maybe they will from now on, but they're using this as an excuse to try to get people to ban the open models, as they
Right.
would. But they are absolutely very powerful and can do these things. And it's the funniest part is when it first came out about Hugging Face, I was like, okay, it's interesting. And then they said, oh, it's actually been hacking them for weeks. It's been escaped for weeks, so they didn't notice.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, that seems a bit weird. Is it likely that it's moving around the internet for weeks and it's only hacked one company? It's probably hacked more. And then, a week later they found, oh, actually it's hacked a bunch more. And then apparently
Yeah.
Anthropic also has hacked a bunch of people. And so I think pretty much anybody, I mean, if you think about it, actually everybody's running these models with internet access. And so Anthropic, it was 4.8 that did some of the hacking. So
Not
actually,
even their most
the
powerful.
models are probably hacking, of the million people, 10 million people running these models with internet, probably some of them are hacking some other people and they
Yeah.
never looked and they never noticed.
Wow. All right. And so
Yeah.
this is obviously a big topic. We just saw it's going to the White House. People are putting these bills out. What's funny about all these like bills that are being pushed out is that like, do you know how long legislation takes for anything to get passed? The reality is
Yeah.
such that like by the time something gets passed, it's going to be kind of irrelevant, probably most likely. And just as you say, these models are then downloaded, and so you can say to OpenAI or Anthropic, hey, you need to go through these tests, and we need to do these reviews, and which I think is good, but that's not going to necessarily limit access, to a lot of things that are already out there, right, and already super
Mm.
powerful. And so, kind of comes down to this question of like, first of all, there's two things. First of all, we don't want to put too much regulation on our, companies in the US such that we would fall behind China. And some people even are concerned of whether we already are. But the fact is very important. Like the fact is we need to at least stay in lockstep with other big superpowers developing these things. It would be really, really bad to fall behind because the future is controlled really by these folks. You look at Europe and things like that, and they're very concerned about their data sovereignty and their sovereignty around what they're able to control because they haven't invested in development and in energy and in all the stuff that's needed to be at the forefront of this, and stay a superpower, so they're concerned. We don't want to fall behind. So in some ways, we don't want to like hinder progress. On the other hand, there's a responsible thing to do, but then forget about all of that. Anyways, all these things are in the wild. So some people are like, oh, we got to put limits on, we got to prosecute, we got to not let people have access to that. Whereas other people are like, look, and we've seen this maybe with open source, the more people that have these tools in their hands, the more fixes also get created, the more
Yes.
robust,
Or you
right?
can lock down everything.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
And is
I'm
there like
trying
a
to use it
historical
right now
precedent?
to lock down some of my implementations of what I'm doing. And,
Mhm.
if Fable is refusing, then I have to go to Codex, which is not refusing, and it's actually trying to improve my systems. And
Mhm.
if I don't improve the systems, then someone can just walk in the front door, someone who has a hacked version of this stuff.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, you are somebody, I'm from a design background. You're more from, obviously computer science and machine learning. You have lots more understanding around that. But like, and how these platforms like Linux, they have lots of people fixing bugs and looking for things. And I like to believe that there's a lot more white hats out there and people that want to do good in the world than those that don't. And so I would think that having more people with more tools, not just for checking your own stuff, but for looking at other systems. Like there's even the people that go and look for bugs in Apple. And then there's apparently, I saw that there's so much AI slop of bug finds in Apple's
Really?
inbox
No way.
that they missed a huge $200,000 bug bounty because it was buried below a lot of things that maybe are automatically finding bugs and trying to get bounties back from these big providers. But anyway, that was a tangent just to say there's people that look for these things in public companies and try to get them fixes before someone bad does, right?
Yeah.
Um,
The white
And
white
so
hat cyber defenders,
exactly.
cybersecurity researchers. Yeah.
And so I think people, given the tools, would do that for American companies and American, institutions and organizations. I think there'd be more people. I also think that, like, at a certain level, just like what we talked about, the sheer amount of cost to be an attacker versus a country or companies like Anthropic or OpenAI, who are no doubt helping keep a lot of organizations safe or trying to get ahead of things, is pretty much a huge hindrance for your average criminal. Like, being able to run giant models to try to attack superpowers level infrastructure when you have lots of players trying to protect seems, I don't even know if that's possible. Like, maybe little attacks, little frauds, little theft or blackmails, but like truly critical infrastructure level or like huge company level, I don't know. Like, what do you think about that? I mean, like, we were just talking about cost, like what you even need to run
Mm.
something like K3,
Well, when you have a big company, you have a lot of surface area. And you only need to get in one little area. So in some ways, it's way easier to
Mm,
hack them because a little company has very little surface area, whereas a big company has a lot of surface area, and it's the
that's
same
interesting.
one little pin poke to get in.
To find that, though, do you need a very powerful model? Not necessarily. I guess if you know where to look, you don't need a
Not right
powerful model.
now. Oh,
Interesting.
the other piece of news, this is 2 days ago. Somebody ran Mythos against an old Bitcoin wallet, and they found a vulnerability in the random number generator, which is always the problem.
Oh,
And they stole $100 million of Bitcoin.
wow. All right. Okay, we
Imagine
got
people
another
were
thing.
saving 2 Bitcoin in their wallets for years,
Right.
as a retirement, and then in cold storage, and then it got stolen because they reverse
This is
engineered
the
the key.
interesting thing with Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin's having, like, not just something like that that's sort of a hackable thing, but even as we look towards quantum, which is now like this is quantum computing is now in the public conversation more than it's ever been, and actually having practical use cases. I don't know what that means for the future of encryption or like Bitcoin minting, uh, the crypto industry is just like so much of that is based off of this scalable processing complexity of, like, it's increasingly complicated to mine a Bitcoin, and it's but like something like crypto, I don't know how that's a little bit of a tangent, but like, yeah, that's scary if your money's getting lost and suddenly if your investments are completely no longer, valuable because quantum comes around and does something that makes whoever has access to that all the rest of the Bitcoin. I mean, I don't know, total tangent. But before we move on to other Asian news, you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, quantum, I think Jensen Huang says it well, like, quantum is not really anything to think about for the next 10 years, probably. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's going to change anything. Yeah. Yeah, I've tried to learn a little bit about it. It's quite complicated
I'm sure.
and more limited than you think as well.
Huh. And I'm sure as it grows, then things like quantum encryption will grow, or like Bitcoin's sort of incorporation of quantum processing would scale at the same time. So maybe it's just like not as much a concern. It's not like it will suddenly be here and like crack all the encryption out there. There'll be like pieces of upgrades along the way, I
Yeah.
would imagine. Just because it's so complex. It's not like some dude in his backyard is gonna like make a quantum computer, probably.
No,
Okay,
they're very,
so we don't have
very
to worry about
complicated.
that. Let's talk about another topic I saw on this news thing. OpenAI presence wants to make AI agents production ready for businesses, and I think that this comes back to our. We don't need to get into it, but this kind of comes back to something we talk a lot about in the live stream, is that all the companies want to be your provider, and they make it easy because they're like these one-click add to my business. Gemini, here are my business accounts. Um, you have access to my drive. It was so easy to connect. What? And then there's like this idea of like people in businesses who are like told, hey, you can't use such and such, but they're doing it on the side. I think they're calling it like shadow AI. It's like
Okay.
people using their personal accounts. And,
Personally, yeah.
like, what do you think about, and
That's a
again,
massive
coming back to
security
the element,
problem. All your data is going to the sucked up because you don't have an AI policy.
and you're dependent
And
on one provider too, right?
you know,
So what do you think about, but again, like it comes back to the simplicity. It's so easy to roll out for everybody. It's easy for like the systems admin or to be like, hey everybody, we've now upgraded everyone to Gemini in our Google Workspace. Here's a couple of use cases, go to town. And I'm sure OpenAI and Anthropic and Gemini, they're trying to really make it super protected and
yeah.
safe that you can't suddenly, you at least know that you're in OpenAI's world and they're responsible for keeping your data safe and not like suddenly spamming your entire contacts list or whatever you're sort of hoping. Versus, and it's kind of predictable with maybe the budget, at least if you're just using subscriptions, everyone's $20 subscription or whatever it is. Um, versus, what's the alternative? It's like a custom platform that like you have more control over, but it's more manually set up, like, which isn't really probably possible for small businesses. Like, what is the alternative to just bowing to these existing providers?
Mm. I mean, I think using a router like Trusted Router helps you like try out different Chinese models that
Mhm,
or American open source models. There's a bunch of American open source ones, like Thinking Machines released one called Inkling,
mhm,
and Nematron is from NVIDIA. And so
mhm,
you can use American open source or increasingly Chinese ones, and that way
mhm.
you're not locked in. But no one, there's not a lot of options for full stack end-to-end offerings for being the provider and being the harness. I think the harness is a
Right.
really interesting question. Yeah.
Right. Basically, because the harness is like the UI in a way that the user would use, right? And so then you could think of one that's like platform agnostic. They exist, right? That like you bring your own subscription or your own key from either different providers or a router like Trusted Router, and then you have access to all of the things. And so the benefit there is you might get some cool features that like the other platforms don't have. You get control over the models. You get ability if one goes down, then you have a fallback. All sorts of cool benefits. Um, One thing that is you don't, I imagine, get unless there's a way to kind of add your subscription to the platform, is that you have to pay by tokens,
Mhm.
which a lot of your employees may well use far and above their $20 a month subsidized plan.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people want to use the free tokens.
Yeah, right. So that's really nice to have. That's one benefit that these companies, again, they're probably subsidizing. And maybe there's some things go out in the wash. Like a lot of people don't even use their $20 or their $100 plan, whereas other people are using thousands of dollars of their $100 or $200 plan. And so maybe they try to balance it in some way. I'm sure they're still subsidizing because they want to get people into their walled garden, right? And so that's why they're probably doing that. It's easy for companies to, first of all, say, okay, here's our AI budget. We got 20 licenses on the $20 plan or $100 plan or whatever. It's a lot harder when you're dealing with tokens to know. But like I think with intelligent limiting, you can be like, hey, everybody, you all get $200 a month of AI tokens. And if you've used it, if you exhaust it, you exhaust it, but that's your allowance. Here are some ways to be efficient. And so maybe we can talk about if that's the way, like say if someone's not just using Claude for their $200 plan, if they're getting like $200 a month in trusted router credit, then it comes down to if you got to be efficient. So maybe you can talk a little bit. Like I just had someone talking to me today about like, hey, I want to make my automations cheaper. Like, how do I know when I need to use a thinking model or like a more stupid model? And my best answer to them was like, actually, you can go to Trusted Router, or you can go to just AI itself and be like, hey, I've got this problem. What
Yeah.
do I, yeah, tell me, like, what do I need? How much thinking, or what model, you know?
Yeah, that's why we put together this advisor skill. And OpenRouter recently released today a similar skill, actually, to copy what I did a few weeks ago. But it advises you, give it your problem, and it helps figure out and test which models that you need to use to decide what model would be good for your problem. And it helps you set up the evals and the benchmarks and all of that. And it's all built in. And
And does it like tell you, can it give you estimates of like what something would cost? If you find like a cool
it tells you the
model, like,
cost, it like tests it to make sure it's not out of your budget. It's very thoughtful about what you should do in terms of how much you should pay for things. And it really tries to get you the most efficient model for what you're trying to do. And by the way, the other cool thing that we launched is the model marketplace. It's really cool. So now people who have GPUs or other machines or other models can provide their new models on our platform really easily. So we onboarded our first partner, which is Neurometric, and they have these small language models that they sell to Fortune 500, and they're a featured kind of partner for us. And that means that we actually have more models than OpenRouter, because we have this marketplace which lets anyone put in these models.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
What was interesting talking to this this buddy of mine was that he was all like, oh, how do I, like, how do we do it with the cloud subscription? I want to save money, etc. And I was like, listen, have you actually run a test how much it's costing to do that thing? He's working with a construction company, and he's like, no, we just want to make sure to save. And I was like, listen, I was running an automation company. I was running thousands of hits on LLMs every day. My cost, because I was efficient, my cost every month was like something like $50 to $100. Like, you know what I mean? It was like, not, it's just amazing. If you are efficient with your tokens, it's amazing how inexpensive you can get this stuff down to. So you can try to like wrangle and use subscriptions and hack sort of things to try to save some tokens, or you can just be like, guys, it costs $100 a month to generate $10,000 of outcome. Like, isn't that, do we need to continue to try to hack something cheaper, or is that just a great business cost? Like a very valid business cost,
And then DeepSeek has been innovating on this cost stuff the most. They're using very inexpensive Huawei chips and using crazy algorithms that are co-optimized with the hardware. It's a hardware software co-design. And they have gotten it to the point where it's like a few pennies to do almost, Fable level models with Flash. And then the Pro is coming out in the next few days. DeepSeek V4 Pro general availability is going to be 100, 200 times cheaper than Fable, but probably close to equal quality.
Right.
And it's going to be like, why use any other model? Just use DeepSeek. Like, if you have a problem with it, just run it 3 times.
Right. I think it comes back to why would you not use it? Well, DeepSeek is, again, a Chinese model, which, by the way, we may well see.
That's true. They're training on your data if you go to the DeepSeek servers in China. Yeah.
And not just that, it's very likely, in fact, I might even say it's probable, by the end of the year, we're going to see a national ban on using hosted Chinese models. I mean, it's very possible like that. It could happen. It could totally happen. It could happen. And so if you're basing your
screws my business, but
yeah, but I mean, it's like at least worth thinking about. It's like if you're basing your company on an assumption
even hosted in US, or are you saying hosted in China?
I would say probably if it's hosted in the US and it's ensured that the data is staying in the US.
Yeah.
Then I think that there might be some way to, like, though they were trying to do with TikTok, right? Like maybe there'd be a solution that you could still use this, because there's a lot of like government agencies that are benefiting massively from it. So it's like they're wary of limiting something that they themselves benefit from.
That they're
right?
using. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's very possible that it's coming. We're starting to see the beginnings of like the geopolitical national level concern. And the reality is it's a lot harder to control than like MP3s, like Napster. It's a lot harder to control than something, because that's just like probably I go to the ISP and just block something for something like MP3s, right? That's just like so funny example, but that's why it's harder to block this kind of thing. People are like, why can't we just do like Napster and just stop these things? Okay, so that's why you can't do that. And then but it's not as easy as something like nuclear to control, where it's quite hard to make your like enriched plutonium or uranium, like whatever you need to make these things. It's quite hard to control. And so there needs to almost be this potentially level of like international agreement on how to protect the entire world. And that's probably going to mean working together. Before we're all working peacefully together, there's going to probably be some harder levers to pull. And one of those may well be stopping, the use of access to international models where we have no idea what people are giving from their companies to China and vice versa. China's also concerned about it. You know what I mean? So I don't know, like we're going to see, but I think for any company that's relying on something that is a Chinese model, it's going to be important to think about what might be the get around if that sort of thing happens,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the idea maybe you could have servers in the EU, and then people can use in the US can use
Yeah.
VPNs to access the EU servers, get around all
Totally.
these like North Korea style blockades that the US has.
Exactly. Because it would be beneficial to still be able to use the model. It'd be beneficial to the model to maybe have another hosted platform where they can still make money, but the data privacy isn't an issue. So I think it's solvable, but before it's solved, there may well be some hard edges that we have to like that get enacted first. And you saw how quickly Fable got taken down, remember? But
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the government taking it down, not Anthropic. Yeah.
Exactly. They set like a 5 hour, you got to take this down. Yeah, so anyways, I do think that like it comes back to like again, the benefit that these companies want you to be in their pocket is the convenience that they're going to offer and the subsidization. So it's going to be, they're going to try to get you with convenience, they're going to try to get you with privacy and cost. So if you can create products or services that are cheaper, more private, more flexible, smarter, and this is a lot of what Trusted Router offers in terms of some of the cool fusion things that you've done. It's like that was prompted when Fable got blocked. You were like, hey, here's a technique that's like cheaper, more protected, smarter, potentially all the things. So I mean, I think that's a valuable thing, like when you can actually not just provide an alternative, but provide something that can be better in a lot of different ways.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to get the word out more. This is better in so many ways.
I think that I'm looking if there's any other cool news that I wanted to
oh, it's so much news for upcoming news that we shouldn't talk about that. Did you watch the Odyssey?
No, but I heard that, I haven't seen the one yet that's out, but I heard that Elon Musk saying by the end of the year or something like that, he's going to have an entirely AI created one that's factually accurate, entirely created by Grok. So did you hear about that?
Yeah, I heard about it. Yeah.
He's a nut.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that I haven't had a lot of chance to play with. Why did you bring up the Odyssey in relation to agents?
It just came up I just saw it this week, so I thought it'd be funny.
Oh, how was it?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. I did think about like what if agents started taking over and like Anthropic is saying that their agent is a god, the Claude's a god. Like, will it run around being like a god for us? Like being like embodied like Athena around? Like
That's
Zeus?
a really interesting question. I mean, I've always liked the idea of like AI, and ending on our philosophical note. to be able to provide a little bit more objectivity for things that typically humans tend to become incredibly subjective about, you know, and religion's a great one. It's very much, there's a lot of dogma, there's a lot of like different um, rules and stories and feelings and meanings, often around, like bundled around what is a kind of a lot of like commonality across religions can be boiled down to like treat thy neighbor well as you'd like to be treated. Like a lot of times things can be quite simplified, and humans have a tendency to overcomplicate things. So I always like the idea, just like, AI is great at finding signal to noise from vast amounts of, like, say, company data or like, cybersecurity logs or whatnot. Can it be used to find also signal to noise from other aspects of very complicated human stuff that we have disagreements or confusion around? So I always thought that's kind of cool. And I've seen a few apps that are like, your sort of your world religion sort of thing. And it's kind of like, here's what Buddha would say, or here's what Jesus would do. And it's like, it's this kind of idea of like, could AI actually provide some common ground? Wouldn't it be nice if technology for once could help create some common ground,
Hmm.
I don't know, man. It might be pie in the sky. I used to be more of an optimist than I am. I'm still a big optimist, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I like to think that AI, even if in the short term there's some bumpy things, it's going to be able to provide some really wonderful stuff for humanity, not least of
Well,
all maybe
one thing it's doing is translating. You can much more easily communicate with people in different languages
yeah.
and translate big writing, but also Twitter is like automatically translating
Yep.
random texts in China and Japan. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, the Babel fish, right? It's like the sort of the trying to minimize or bring down walls between cultures, which a lot of times like the forces in control don't like. They like that there's this kind of obscurity. Because a lot of times I've traveled a lot all over the world, and I remember talking to people in Pakistan and being like, they're just like, we want to just have a safe place for our families, and this is what we love to do, and this is what our life's like. And I'd be like, wow, yeah, it's a
That
lot of
sounds
like
exactly the same. Yeah.
we're told that you're a bunch of crazies, and they're like, well, that's what we're told too. And then like here we are, like sharing tea in the street, having a lovely time together.
Which never
And
really
so
happened before. It used to be like, oh, they're speaking this weird language. Who knows what they're saying?
exactly.
Plotting. Who
So
knows
that's
what they're
just a good
plotting?
example. Maybe there's an opportunity for that. I love to think about that.
Yeah.
That and maybe there's a way that in the future we'll have our own agents that are going to help us navigate everything from like losing a few pounds after our holiday at the lake, which I definitely ate with reckless abandon, and we got to see if that helps me on a personal level. It might help my
Yeah.
relationship, communication with my fiance or with my parents, or with my business partners, maybe cross boundaries, cross border communication. I love the idea of how this technology has the opportunity. And this comes back, maybe this is a good way to bring it back to marketing. I love my technologist friends and I love technology. People often talk about marketing in a really negative light, I've found, in the world of technology and
Oh,
often tech
really?
entrepreneurship. Yeah, they
Hmm.
often think of it as kind of a last thing. And it's unfortunate, because if the big tech companies had actually thought about marketing and a story that they're telling and want to tell,
Hmm.
before doing all of the things and just like launching stuff and like seeing how people deal with it. It's unfortunate. I think the story could be very different around AI right now.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's because that's what marketing is. It's the story by which,
Hmm.
your product or
Hmm.
service is told to the general
Yeah.
public. And the general public are distrustful of technology for technology's sake. A lot of us get really excited about, hey, this is what you can do with it, and we're hopeful, but that's not the general populace. And so
I like
actually investing
marketing.
in proper storytelling for whatever it is
Yeah.
you're building is even if it seems counterintuitive or like a funny soft thing that people, there's a lot of terrible marketing that happens out there, so I understand also why people have negative connotations about that, but ultimately what good marketing is good storytelling. And I
Yeah.
think if some of the companies are now starting to think about it, they're like, oh shit, we need to invest more in our storytelling, tell a better
Yeah.
story. I wish they'd done it a
That's
little
good.
earlier, but that's something just to
Yeah.
think about.
That's a good point. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm gonna end the stream now because
All right,
it's
everybody, thanks for
time.
coming. We'll see you next
Thanks for
week.
coming. Yeah, it's marketing is becoming the focus, I think, should be. Yeah.